Welcome back everyone, Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Am I the asshole for keeping boundaries even though my sister-in-law says she doesn't trust us anymore? Using a throwaway. I, 31 female, have 2 daughters with my husband, 33 male. Elsa, 8, and Anna, 6. We've been no contact with his family for years. His parents were extremely pushy and didn't follow any of the rules we were trying to make for our daughters. For example, when my oldest was a baby, I got called into work. I told my mother-in-law we needed her to look after Elsa. She'd been sick, so I didn't want to leave her with a sister. Mother-in-law agreed, but said she already had plans and would have to take the baby. Since this involved taking Elsa out into the cold and into a stranger's house, I wasn't comfortable with that. She did agree eventually. We set a clear boundary around social media. No posting pictures or sharing ours or commenting or liking them, because they would show up in other people's feeds. Several times I had to remind her not to comment, but she did anyway, so I unfriended her. It was lots of stuff like that. We would ask for help or make a rule, then have to justify it. We felt like our children and family weren't a priority, so right before Anna was born 6 years ago, we cut contact with the whole family. This spring, my husband decided it's not fair for our daughters. So I agreed we could try it again, with the understanding that if things hadn't changed, we'd go back to the way we'd been doing it. Things are rocky at first, but now his family are excited we came back. Everyone is willing to let the past be the past, except his older sister, 37. His mother arranged a get-together, sister-in-law didn't come. Then his uncle wanted to do a barbecue for Labor Day, and she didn't come to that either. She went kayaking with her cousin instead. I saw on her social media. She's been like that since we got back. My mother-in-law is really upset. I know sister-in-law has gone to lots of things we're not at, but she doesn't come to things we're at. The only time she's seen us was for Anna's birthday party. She was polite and brought her a nice card and present, but left as soon as the party was over. She didn't post on her socials about Anna's birthday or anything. Finally, last week we called her about it. She was quiet for a while and then said she felt like she couldn't trust us anymore, and that she had to be the one to hold things together when we left the first time, and she didn't want to open that door again, and she hung up. My husband is really mad. He says they were close as kids and she's always been dramatic and a diva, but this is unusual. She doesn't seem like she's angry. She just acts like we don't exist. With the holidays coming up, she told mother-in-law she'll do birthdays and Christmas with us for the kids, but that's it. We were just trying to protect ourselves, but now she's acting like we did it to target her. Are we really the assholes here, or is she just being dramatic like my husband says? So let me know if I'm not quite following this correctly, but just to put it in perspective for what I'm understanding, you and your husband had a rule where if a boundary was crossed, even accidentally or on like impulsive instinct, you guys would go no contact and cut them out of your lives. And you guys had done this for a while. And finally open the doors and let people back in your lives. And now your sister-in-law, not interested in being put back in the position where she could be essentially cut out of your lives again and be in the position where she'd have to rebuild things and have to hold things together while you guys were away, has no interest in rekindling that relationship because of your past behaviors. So that's a hell of a double standard. Not to mention, I'm really confused by you not wanting your kids on social media, but you post photos of them on social media. Then when your family interacts with those things that you posted on social media, you then unfriend or block them? That's like bizarre. Not to mention, the sister-in-law isn't being a diva because she's still willing to be cordial and not let her disappointment with you two to affect her relationship with her niece. She's actually willing to still be a good aunt towards her niece and not just cut her out like you guys were so quick to do with all of your other family members. And like, let's say hypothetically, they just wanted to use like a social media platform as like a photo album, like an online photo album. Then why not just set your account to private? Because it feels like you're baiting your husband's family in for reasons to cut them out of your life. And you're just finding excuses to snip, 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 snip. No more family for you. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy on that, but it just feels weird. Also, wait a minute, hold on. Elsa and Anna. I just now put that fucking together. Oh my god. Am I the asshole for staying up late to eat crackers? My girlfriend, female 22 of almost 3 years, told me she's been losing respect for me, male 23, because of my irresponsibility. This was prompted with my action of staying up later than I should have on a work night, because I was going to make crackers and cheese before bed, but I got caught on a limited time event in a mobile game I play. I was only on my phone around 50 minutes. I don't think it's the crackers, bud. In the middle of me playing, my girlfriend asked me why I couldn't play tomorrow, and telling me, we need to go to bed soon, can we please make our snacks now? I felt really rushed and hurt, and I didn't want to explain to her that it was a limited time event, so I just decided to finish the whole event in that 50 minutes. I finally got up to go make the snack, as it was only 30 minutes past when I was supposed to be asleep, and that's when she tells me, "This is why I feel like I'm losing respect for you, you're not very responsible." I was really upset, and this might be where I'm the asshole. I told her she's annoying and that she doesn't get to dictate how I spend my time before work. She replied that she also has to get up early too and doesn't like missing sleep because of her chronic health condition thing, and that I never care about making her feel comfortable for work. She works so early in the morning that I usually just go back to sleep. There's not really any time to do anything, so I don't understand. And complaining that I don't do chores or cook, or even though I would if she just told me what she needed done. To end it, I said, "Whatever, you're not going to listen to me anyways, I'm done talking to you. Good night." Then we wordlessly went to sleep. It's been a day and a half and she hasn't spoken to me much, but says she's waiting for an apology and to talk about it. I don't think I went over the line, and I don't think there's really that much to talk about. I'm still so hurt that she would say she doesn't respect me. Reddit, am I the asshole? Edit, I do some chores without communicating with her, but she's very particular about how she likes the house to be, and I'm just not as picky. What you've been saying about doing it without asking makes sense, I just fear I'll do it wrong. Thank you for commenting. Edit 2. Alright, yep, it's clear now that I'm the asshole. I appreciate everyone's responses, even the harsher ones. We had a conversation that went well, and we'll be more clear about our expectations and responsibilities as not just people who are dating, but two people who live together. I realize I have a lot to work on, and if I want this relationship to work, I'll need to change my behavior. I realize this post made me look like a super shitty guy for good reason. It really opened my eyes. I feel guilty for referring to her chronic illness with such callousness. It's not right. And it's clear I'm not understanding her condition or taking it as seriously as I should. Thank you for reading. So most of the things that I were going to tear into him for were addressed in the edit, but I'm still going to knock him for referring to his partner's chronic illness as a chronic illness thing with that much callous and, well, just lack of remorse. I mean, even with the edit and apology, if your partner saw this, I doubt she would feel too great about that and finding out how you really feel, because even if it was written out of anger, you still kind of showed your ass here. And that's fucked up and gross, dude. I really do hope you take your own advice and actually take the effort to learn more about what your partner has to go through on a daily basis, because it's clear you don't understand, which you did admit to. Also, your girlfriend wasn't mad at you for making crackers and cheese before bed. It was the fact that you played on a mobile game for nearly an hour without telling her any context behind it. Those things are fucking dopamine traps. Good God. Like, the reason why your girlfriend probably thought you were irresponsible was because you had work in the morning and you were on your phone playing a game for an hour, and you were supposed to make, by the sounds of it, not just yourself, but both of you, snacks before bed. Like, there are a lot of red flags with this post, and I really do hope he does change for the better, because there's the fact that he won't do things in the house because it's not up to her standards, and he won't ask what those standards are. And even if so, your partner will realize a day and night difference between attempting to actually clean things to their standard and not just even trying at all. Buddy, I think you got some growing to do. Trust me, when I was 23, I still had growing to do, granted in different areas of life, but at the same time, we all got steps we gotta take to grow as people. It sounds like that you have a couple steps of your own that you gotta take, and it sounds like that you found some of them, and I do hope that you do take the time to grow. My boyfriend threatened to break up with me on a Harry Potter marathon night that I planned because he was embarrassed and would rather drink at the club. 32 male, 29 female. Yesterday was his birthday. We're both Harry Potter fans, but I'm more into it, and he likes golfing and cars more than I do. Yesterday morning, I asked him if he wanted to go out somewhere, and I told him that I'm planning a surprise tonight. He didn't ask anything further and left for work. During the evening, I had set the sofas, spread the blankets, arranged the coffee table, fluffed all the pillows, warmed up the place. I made pizza at home for the first time and made smoothies. I brought all kinds of sweets and made mini Harry Potter-like candies with them. I had got this idea from those reels and had always told him that I wanted to try it out. He didn't see my message till around 9:30 and arrived at 10. I didn't mind it much, but told him that I had everything prepared and that we could snuggle up and watch together. He told me he was tired and didn't want to do it, so I tried requestioning him to sit with me for at least one movie. He somehow agreed. He ate the pizza, but didn't try any of those mini candied structures I made, and then, when we were comfortable enough, the broomstick scene comes, and I tell him how I used to crush on Draco as a kid. He suddenly got up from there and I nearly hit my head on the sofa board. He told me I was embarrassing to still be obsessing over Harry Potter as an adult, that his friends' girlfriends are more mature than me and are actually planning their lives ahead. I didn't know how me liking this is related to that because I barely ever talked to him about Harry Potter much before. He just walked away after that and I let him. When I don't come back to sleep, he tells me I have a horrible taste for even crushing on Tom Felton, and that he looks like a sulking cow now. What hurt me most, that he didn't even taste the sweets I made, or even lie down with me for at least an hour. I would have been okay to even change the movie or shut it down, and when I tried suggesting, he kept shaking his head. He told me to fix my ways before he gets fed up and leaves me for good, and that he left a real good offer of drinking at the bar with his friends. It's morning and I haven't talked to him yet. He just left without even looking at me. I might be at fault here for not taking his interest into much consideration. I just thought we would like it because I would show him stuff like that and he always admired it much. I feel kinda hurt. The pizza I made was also his favorite, but he didn't seem to show much for it. I don't know. I may be overreacting. I don't know if it's right for me to love the series anymore. It had been a part of my childhood and I grew up with it. We've been together for 3 years now. Too long didn't read, my boyfriend of 3 years ruined movie marathon night and I feel hurt. Okay, gotta kind of read between the lines here because I do feel for her for feeling hurt that like her boyfriend would call her immature like that because I'm still a dorky person at 24. I like Warhammer, I like Bionicles, I like Transformers. Still got my dorky nerdiness and I would feel hurt if my partner told me to grow up after, indulging in something I enjoy. But that's not what's going on here. I just want to paint a picture for you. Imagine you go to work at like the standard work time of like 9 p.m. Sorry, that's my standard work time of 9 a.m. You go through your day. You don't get home until 10 p.m. It's your birthday. Friends offered you to take you out for drinks, but your girlfriend said she had a surprise plan for you, so you go home. You show up, and she has a movie marathon planned for her favorite series. You have work the next day. It's 10 p.m. You are tired. And she wants to do hold on, let me do the quick check here. Runtime of all Harry Potter movies, enter. Holy fucking shit. Okay, so after 13 hours of work, you go home and your girlfriend pops up with a 19-hour and 40-minute long movie marathon. There's also context which implies there's been conversations about her, I don't want to say obsession for Harry Potter because, I still have my gooberish obsessions from when I was a kid. And I definitely feel like the boyfriend was being a bit harsh with how he approached it, especially with dragging in the fact of yeah, my friends, their girlfriends are focused on their future and you're not. That's a bit harsh, buddy. But he was probably really fucking grumpy after an exhausting day. So I just, because the boyfriend sucks in this scenario because he let his grumpiness get the best of him. But the girlfriend also sucks because she was more thinking about herself for celebrating the birthday and doing something that she would enjoy and not really fully considering the bigger picture. It also sounds like there's been conversations about this in the past. So just to firmly state, I think the boyfriend was a bit harsh, but I think the girlfriend was in fact immature, not for liking Harry Potter, but for doing what she wanted to do on his birthday after a long day. But hey, maybe I'm wrong on this, and if I am, please let me know in the comments, because I might be misreading the situation on its entirety. My, female 54, son, male 27, and daughter-in-law, female 54, call her Jay, got married 6 months ago. They were together for around 2.5 years before that. Jay was 7 weeks pregnant at the wedding, so she's around 30 weeks now. My son has had girlfriends in the past that he never bothered introducing to, but he introduced us to Jay around a few months into their relationship. She seemed nice and sweet, but definitely not what I thought my son would want to be with. I told my son my concerns and he brushed them off, and we had a few conversations about this during their relationship, and he became even more distant over the course of their relationship. The wedding went by fine, and it was honestly a really beautiful ceremony, but at the reception, I noticed that Jay was not drinking anything at all. Drinking is an unfortunate normalized part of our ethnic culture, especially at major events like this. I found it odd and asked her about it, and if she wanted me to get her a drink, and she immediately got defensive, and I pressed her about it, and Jay admitted she was pregnant. I pulled her aside and told her they never should have gotten pregnant before getting married. My son ended up kicking me and my husband both out of the reception party, and we had zero contact for a while. I finally got in touch with him through one of his cousins, and my son said he was done with me, and I had something against his wife for absolutely no reason. He was never like this before Jay entered his life. Jay has absolutely changed him. I'm almost certain Jay has probably made things from the reception seem worse than they are. Also, there's the fact that she's a stay-at-home pregnant wife, while my son is out working a full-time job and is also doing a master's at the same time. My son is just getting used for money, while she's doing nothing, and locked him down by having a baby, and she's spoiled my relationship with my son in the process. I don't know how to fix this, and I'm losing hope that my relationship with my son will ever recover. Honestly, the comment that really gets me, the first one that I noticed that made me do a double take, was the not what I thought my son would want to be with. It's a very dehumanizing sentence. Plus, it's very clearly not just what happened at the reception, it's also everything surrounding it, by your own admission. There were conversations about this during their relationship, and he had become even more distant over the course of their relationship. It sounds like you spent a lot of time of your son's relationship bitching about who he was with, to, from your own admission and your own linguistics, a dehumanizing extent. I also want to point out that she pulled the wife aside during the reception to scold her for being pregnant. That's gotta be extremely embarrassing. So that, coupled with everything else going on, I don't blame your son for kicking you out of the wedding on top of everything else. In a previous video, someone in the comment section tipped me off to the missing reasons article on isendai.com. It's definitely really interesting, and it's a very common thing with parents that are estranged from their children. They tend to conveniently be missing the reasons that were given by their children for why they're no longer in communication, and victimize themselves and put themselves in a position where it's, well, I was never given the reasons for why they don't want to talk to me. But oftentimes in the forum posts collected within this article, which I'll do my best to link in the description if I remember to, oftentimes they'll say things like, oh, they had this prepared speech, or this email that was sent to me that was full of vindictive drivel, and are just completely distorted beyond reality, etc., etc. The opening to the article states as following: the missing reasons. Members of estranged parents' forums often say their children never gave them any reason for the estrangement, then turn around and reveal that their children did tell them why. But the reasons their children give, the infamous missing reasons, are missing, and thus the name missing reasons. I bring this up right now because I'm going through this right now with one of my parents, and it's definitely tricky and difficult. And while I love them to death, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate this because talking with them can be exhausting. How can I, 38 female, get my husband, 40 male, to parent my kid again after I stopped his punishment? New account specifically for this problem I am having with my husband. Let me first say my oldest son is in his last year of high school and is not the bio son of my husband. My husband and I have been married for 14 years now and 2 other beautiful children together. My oldest son's father is not in the picture. My husband is dad in all respect to my son. All the above said is just to clarify our dynamics. I do love him a lot as he cares for me and cares for all the kids the same. I have never seen any favoritism of any kind towards another. 2 weeks ago, while me and my husband was on our way home on the highway, a car came speeding past us. My husband asked me if that was our son because it was the exact same car as we bought him. My husband sped up and caught up to the car. I think we were doing 95 when we caught up. Don't quote me on that speed, please. I really remember my husband saying, "Why the fuck is he driving 90?" I digress. It was our son driving, and he was on his phone while speeding through traffic. I think he was texting because we could clearly see him having both hands busy with his phone from the opposite lane. I wanted my husband to honk at him, but he said no. That might just cause issues and catch him off guard and cause an accident. When we got home, we parked behind our son. My husband walked into the living room and just held out his hand and said, "Give me the keys." My son asked why, and my husband raised his voice, saying, "Give me the fucking keys." When my son took the keys out of his pocket, my husband grabbed them and told him, "You are no longer allowed to drive that car," and he left the room. He looked at me and asked what was going on, and I told him we saw him on the highway, and his eyes got all big and he struggled to say anything. About an hour later, I heard my husband yell from the kitchen, "I don't give a fuck about your job or school. You can walk, take the bike, or the bus. I don't care. You will not be driving that car again." Apparently, my son went to him and apologized and asked for the keys back because he needed to get to work. My son came to me a week ago and asked for the keys because he needed to get to work and it was raining. He apologized to me again and said it won't happen again. I relented and gave him the keys and he went off to work. My husband came home and without saying hello, just asked where the car was. I told him that I gave him the keys back to our son so that he can get to work. He used the same line on me, saying I told him, and you heard me, that he isn't allowed to drive anymore and he could have taken the bike, bus, or walked. I told him it was raining, so I gave him the keys. I told him that he apologized and said it would never happen again. My husband cut me off and said an apology won't stop an accident, or bring him back from the dead, or bring other people back from the dead. He hasn't learned a thing. I told him I paid half the car and it was a gift from us to my son, and I also have a say to what happens to it. He looked at me and said, "Okay, fine. All parental decisions will now fall on you. You are the authority on that, so everything is now on your head." Since then, my husband hasn't done a single thing for my son or any of the other kids regarding discipline. When they ask for something, he just said, "Go ask your mother." Our kids are having free reign around him and he just steps over every mess they make, and when I ask him why he didn't stop our younger from writing in the walls, he just shrugged and walked off. I tried to talk to him and he said, "You got what you asked for. No matter what I do, you seem to be the authority on any decision on our kids, so I just removed the middleman and you can deal with them." And he walked off. What do I do? How can I get him to help parent our kids again? I am at the end of my rope and the kids aren't really listening to me like they do to him, but he's just allowing them now to do whatever they want. So while the husband is being really fucking petty, he pretty much has every right to. It sounds like the OP has relied on their husband being essentially the bad cop in the parenting dynamic where they get to be the fun parent and dad has to dish out all the difficult punishments that aren't fun to abide by. The thing is, him taking his son's keys like that was 100% the right thing to do. Like, if I had a kid and I found out that they were not only driving at 95 miles an hour but on their phone, their car would be sold that night. Like, I would drive it to the CarMax and just get rid of it, because I know they'll be mad at me, but I would rather have a son or a daughter who's pissed at me than, well, to go to the police station to identify a body. The thing is, I bet the kid knew that if he went to his mom with the conditions that were outside, he would get his keys back. I guarantee he knew that would happen. The dad probably also knows that, and that's probably why he has the reaction that he has. And hell, it's probably the reason why the kids aren't listening to the mother anyways when she tries to push out punishments. And the dad probably knows that, and he's probably had this conversation with her in the past where she's gone over his head with punishments and let the kids get away with things, and now it's just kind of a mess. And my guess would be is that because of the severity of the punishment for it, which honestly was pretty light, considering he could have ended up behind bars for what he did for 6 months, if not longer. And it's because of that, and because the father was trying to dish out a punishment that was actually for something extremely serious, like life-threateningly serious, and the mother just casually rolled over and gave the keys back with no sign of him learning the lesson. I'm not surprised the dad has given up. Not to mention, in previous comments, she's actually stated that she just tries to remain neutral when it comes to punishments. So my guess would be is that it just finally snapped, and the husband is just done with it. If you want him to get back to parenting, you probably just need to admit that he's right, and that you're lax on things, and that you need his help with things. And you probably need to promise to stop being neutral on shit and actually let a punishment stick through to its end, because If a punishment's applied, but it never goes through to its fullest, then a punishment means nothing. My dad used to say while grounding me that whenever he would ground me, that it was harder on him than it was on me. And I never understood that until I became older and realized that he had the power to just simply end that pain that he was inadvertently causing me, but had to stick through with his guns because it wouldn't teach me a lesson for that. And didn't understand that until I was older. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code OZ at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.